this is an oldie but a goodie, but I think that if you want to see a movie about a saint's life that's brilliant, it's a little older now. If I could, I would recreate it. Just keep the same script, but just up touch a little bit of filmmaking sensibilities. One of my favorite films of all time is A Man for All Seasons. I mean, have you seen it, The Life of Sir Thomas More?
No.
So again, I think that the theme of good storytelling, and God knows this because the Bible is filled with this, is always risk, reward, and loss. So here's a man who is Chancellor, Chancellor of I think the title was Lord Protector of England, and so that's essentially the Prime Minister. Okay, and this is a time period where, despite being awarded the Defender of the Faith title, Henry VIII, of course, has gone through a marriage which was already annulled, and the Pope is like, we have no authority to give you an annulment. This is a valid marriage. And so he abandons his wife and marries another woman. And you're supposed to just accept the divorce and accept the marriage. And so Sir Thomas More, who's one of my favorite patron saints, and you'll see this in this movie, has to try to navigate what I would say is legitimate Catholic conscience and legitimate Catholic silence, and navigate, his loyalty to the king and his loyalty to God. And so even down to his last word, right? It's famous. I'm the king's humble servant, but God's first. Mm-hmm. And so what you see this man who is sitting at the right hand of the king, who is loved and feared and adored for the sake of the faith, lose it all. Goes to the Tower of London. There's this really heartbreaking scene where they can't try him of treason, right? They can't, by the law, they can't kill him, so they just imprison him. And they he is withering up, and he shuffles on out, and they're like, will you just say yes to the marriage? And he's like, I won't say anything. That's what he did. He's like, I won't say anything. You can't make me say anything. And they're like, okay, well, go away. And as he's shuffling back, he goes, they realize that he's had his books still. So they take away even his books out of the Tower of London. And he goes, may I see my family? And they say no. And you're just like, wow, all for the sake of the gospel. Why wouldn't you just sign it? Why wouldn't you just sign it and not mean it, right? And he says, because it's an oath. And the thing about an oath is that I would bet my own soul for the world. I bet my own soul for my title, for my life that I have left. It's not worth it.
They were like, will you disavow Catholic teaching right here, right now?
I mean, it's what's happening with the Supreme Court right now. You see what the dogma lives loud within you, or whatever. Because remember,
it's pretty cool.
Oh, I know. I was like, what are we, Jedi all of a sudden?
I mean, if somebody said that to me, I would take that as a compliment.
I would take it as a high. I think that's the problem. It's like deplorables, right? It's become a badge of courage. Like,
yeah,
when your Catholicity is so wonderful, resonant, that, and I feel like with Sir Thomas, and everyone knew it. That's the worst part, because again, this is the formation of the Church of England. So, despite the fact of Sir Thomas More and Bishop John Fisher, I do believe, how many other bishops, priests, laity, the king himself, all went along with it. They might have not, we didn't really mean it, some might even have said, but well, we're going to do this to keep our heads down.